Ever catch yourself watching a movie and thinking, man, I wonder what the film scene's like in that part of the world?
It's like a little window into another culture, right?
Totally. Well, get ready to be transported because today's deep dive takes us straight to the Himalayas.
We're talking Nepal, home of Mount Everest, incredible landscapes.
And a film industry with a surprisingly fascinating story.
We're diving into the world of Kollywood, Nepal's very own film scene.
We've got some incredible excerpts from a podcast called Himalayan Outlook that we're going to dig into.
It's amazing they really paint a vivid picture of Kollywood's journey, from its humble beginnings to where it might be headed.
From what I've heard, it's way more than just pretty mountain backdrops.
You got it. We're talking history, challenges, triumphs, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so let's rewind all the way back to the 1950s. Nepal's first ever feature film, Satya Harishchandra. Big moment, right?
Definitely a milestone. But here's the thing.
Hit me.
It wasn't actually made by Nepalese filmmakers.
Oh, interesting. So where did it come from?
It was a production by Indian filmmakers, actually, filmed in Nepal, but with that outside influence.
Fascinating. So not exactly a homegrown debut then.
Right. But it did pave the way in a way.
Okay, so how do we get to the first Nepali-made film then?
Fast forward to 1964, Amma, which translates to mother.
Mother. I like it.
It's considered the first true Nepali language film, a real turning point.
What was the story behind it? What made it happen?
Well, at the time, foreign films, especially from India, were everywhere, so the government actually sponsored Amma.
Interesting. Why was that?
They saw filmmaking as a way to promote Nepali culture and strengthen national identity.
Wow, so almost a form of cultural diplomacy through film, using movies to shape how people see themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got Kollywood finding its feet. When does it really start to take off?
The 80s and 90s, things really start to heat up. You could call it a golden age.
What changes?
Production ramps up, new filmmakers are experimenting, and you start to see some genuine Kollywood blockbusters.
Like what? Give me some titles.
Well, there's one film from that era that really stands out. Kusume Rumo, Silk Handkerchief.
Silk Handkerchief, huh? Sounds like a romance.
You know it. It was a massive hit, held the record for the longest-running Nepali film at the box office. Can you believe that?
No way. For how long?
Over a decade. But here's the thing about this period. It's also when the influence of Bollywood becomes really apparent.
Bollywood, India's film industry,
Right.
The giant.
Exactly. And that had its pros and cons for Kollywood.
I can see how that would be a tough balancing act, finding your own voice with such a strong presence right next door.
Tell me about it.
So what were some of the benefits of that Bollywood influence?
Well, for one, Nepali audiences were exposed to different storytelling techniques, different music, different styles of filmmaking.
Right, because Bollywood is known for its energy, its vibrancy, and that must have rubbed off on Kollywood in some ways.
Oh, definitely.
What?
It also made it harder for Kollywood to establish its own unique identity.
Right, because if audiences get used to a certain style, a certain formula, it can be tough for something new to break through, like trying to stand out in the shadow of a giant.
Exactly.
A classic struggle for emerging industries, I'd imagine. Finding that sweet spot between appealing to a broad audience, but staying true to your roots.
It's a constant dance.
And it wasn't just the style of the films themselves, right? I imagine that Bollywood influence had an impact behind the scenes, too.
Totally. You're talking about the talent pool. A lot of Nepali filmmakers and actors were drawn to Bollywood.
Bigger budgets, more opportunities, the bright lights. Can you blame them?
It's hard to resist, right? Although, there were some Nepali actors who found success in Bollywood and brought that star power back to Kollywood.
Right, like a homecoming.
Exactly. They bridged the two worlds in a way. But, speaking of game changers, we have to talk about digital filmmaking.
Right, because that changed everything for so many film industries around the world. Did Kollywood get caught up in the digital revolution?
Absolutely. Think about it. Cameras and editing software became way more affordable, which opened doors for a whole new generation of filmmakers in Nepal.
Democratization of filmmaking. Love to hear it.
Right. And this new wave, they brought fresh perspectives, a willingness to tackle social issues. It really resonated with audiences.
So we see these new voices emerging. Are there any particular films or directors from this period that we should have on our radar?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You've got Loot, directed by Nishal Basnet, came out in 2012.
Loot. What's it about?
It's this gritty crime thriller set in Kathmandu, really fast-paced, stylish, a huge departure from what Kollywood had been doing before.
Okay, so a totally different vibe, edgy. Did it connect with audiences?
Big time. It was a wake-up call for the industry, proved that Nepali cinema could be cool, contemporary, and commercially successful on its own terms.
So did it kick off a wave of similar films?
It definitely opened doors, but then you have Kalapafi, The Black Hen, a completely different kind of film, won the Best Film Award at the Venice Film Festival in 2015.
Whoa, Venice. That's huge. For people who don't know, that's like the Oscars of film festivals, right?
One of the biggest, for sure. It put Collywood on the map internationally.
What made Kalapathi so special? What's it about?
It's set during the Nepalese Civil War, a really moving story about friendship, loss, hope, all those big themes. Beautifully shot, too.
So it had that universal appeal, but rooted in Nepal's own experience.
Exactly. And it showed the world that you don't need a massive budget to tell a powerful, moving story. Another one you should check out is Seto Surya, White Sun.
Okay, I'm writing these down. Seto Surya. Tell me more.
Premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, another huge one in the film world. Also screened at Busan in South Korea.
So again, getting that international recognition.
Yep, Seto Surya is about two brothers dealing with the aftermath of the Civil War. Really complex and nuanced look at family, reconciliation, all the challenges of healing.
Wow, so both Kalapothi and Seto Surya dealing with the legacy of the Civil War, but in very different ways.
Right. And both finding audiences outside of Nepal. It's like Collywood found its voice on the world stage during this period.
Yeah, telling those hyper-local stories, but with themes that resonate globally.
Yeah.
So where does that leave Collywood today? What's the potential here? Could this be a Himalayan Hollywood in the making?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And luckily, we've got some really interesting clues in this Himalayan Outlook podcast. It seems like the possibilities are pretty exciting.
Well, when I think Himalayan Hollywood, my mind goes straight to those epic landscapes.
Right. It's a no-brainer. The Himalayas are right there, but then you've also got lush valleys, ancient temples, bustling cities.
It's like a visual feast just waiting to be filmed.
Totally. And it's already happening. You know, they actually filmed part of Doctor Strange in Kathmandu, right?
Oh, yeah, really? I did not know that.
Yeah. They use the Pashupatinath Temple. Amazing location.
That's so cool. Okay, so we've got these incredible locations. What else? What else could help Collywood level up?
Co-productions, I think, are a huge opportunity. Imagine Nepali filmmakers collaborating with studios in India, China, even Europe.
Bringing together resources, expertise, reaching new audiences.
Exactly. It's like a win-win for everyone. But, of course, there are still challenges, internal things Collywood needs to overcome.
Right, because you can have all the potential in the world, but if you can't get the support you need, what are some of those roadblocks?
Government support is a big one. A lot of Nepali filmmakers struggle to get funding, deal with bureaucracy, fight piracy. It's tough.
Piracy is the bane of every creator's existence these days. It's such a shame. But okay, let's say those challenges are addressed. What's the best case scenario? What does a thriving Collywood look like in the future?
Okay, so picture this. A top-notch film school in Kathmandu, training the next generation of filmmakers, international studios setting up shop in Nepal, drawn in by the talent and the locations, and audiences all over the world streaming Nepali films from their living rooms.
I love it. So taking Collywood global, it does feel like we're at this really interesting moment, right? Where all these incredible film industries are popping up in unexpected places.
It's like a golden age of discovery for film fans. And for Nepal, this isn't just about entertainment. It's about opportunity, economic opportunity, cultural preservation, sharing their unique perspective with the world.
Exactly, because there's so much richness and diversity in global cinema, and Collywood is a perfect example of that. I'm so glad we got to go on this deep dive.
Me too. It's been fascinating.
Definitely makes you want to seek out some of these films. And you know what I keep thinking about? What if this is just the beginning? What if Collywood doesn't stop at movies?
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
What if it becomes this hub for animation, visual effects, even gaming, all inspired by Nepal's amazing storytelling tradition?
Wow, yeah. Taking those stories into new mediums, new formats.
Right. Tapping into that creative energy, those breathtaking landscapes. It's an exciting thought. Well, that's something for everyone to ponder. This has been an awesome journey into the heart of Collywood. Thanks for joining us.